owns the farm where a lot of the cars are, also owned part of this area. And they got with other farmers in this area during the Civil War when, because the brick house across the parkway from the campground where all the cars are, straight across, that's one of the Earhart brothers who still lives there. And that house has been in the Earhart family since the early 1800s. So, and it switched hands during the Civil War 3 or 4 times. Confederate troops would come through, Union troops would come through, and they would use that house to make plans or whatever. Well, every time they came through, they were looking for food. So they had to take all their livestock and they would hide it in this valley. Obviously, in 1863, the drag strip was not here at the time, but it was this valley. So they would bring their horses and their cattle and everything and hide them over here in this valley until the troops went through, and then they'd bring them back out. Punch it. Let's see if we get up to 35.
And you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Back there to here.
One of the really optical illusions of this place is after the start-finish line, our drag strip, to help slow the cars down, obviously they have the parachutes, they have the big brakes, they have the sand pit, but one of the things that we have here is from the start line to the sand pit is it gradually goes uphill as well to try to help slow them down. Obviously with our real estate around here, it's fairly easy to build something uphill, but it was much harder to do a quarter mile flat than it was to do this. But the optical illusion is once you get up there to the sand pit and back, you're at about the same elevation as the top of our control tower. And if you don't notice it, you don't look and tell that you're actually that high, but you're basically at about the same height as the control tower.
Yeah.
Just as on a very gradual incline. About a G of what the space shuttle astronauts feel when they launch. Wow. And like I said, I'm glad there are people who do it because it allows us to do what we do. But we actually, I've been here 6 years now. Watch it, I'll say this, and you know what'll happen. I've been here 6 years and we haven't had anybody in the sand pit. But we had one motorcycle, I think, in another event make it all the way through. And then at the end of the sand pit, I don't know if you noticed, but there was, if all else fails, the parachute, the brakes, the uphill, the net, there's a net at the end, you know. But I'm guessing if you make it to the net, you got bigger problems. So, yeah, you don't want to hit the net. During our NHRE weekends, this is where all the pro teams park. John Force, Schumachers, and everybody. This is where their pits are. On off weekends, we run from basically mid-March to early October. We'll have something almost every weekend over here, unless we have a big event at the Speedway. And so this facility stays really busy. On our property as a whole, out of 365 days, we have something going on around 270 of those days a year. When I was working with the race team and working with NASCAR, I used to kid my friends who worked at the racetrack about working 10 days a year and working on their golf handicap 355 days a year. I have found out that's not the way it works. I've not played golf in 13 months, so I'm now paying retribution for making all those comments. Yeah. We're going to go over now. We're going to go up to Mr. Smith's suite, the owner's box of the Speedway. You guys will get an up-top view. Well, Ford is our official vehicle, and we're very grateful for that because Wayne and I both get to drive them. Yeah. He's very grateful for that, being a former Ford PR guy because for 13 years we were a Chevrolet track. He was grateful for the vehicle. He just didn't. He just bit his tongue. And Ford also has. They're not only our official vehicle. They also sponsor our NHRA events, so they actually get signage in both places because they're affiliated with both facilities. Are better. It's still a tough time just because of the number of seats we have to fill. Our sister track in Kentucky announced a sellout and it made ESPN and all, and they hold 107,000. You know, if that was the high water mark, we could have quit 3 months ago. This spot here at race time is also where all the nationwide drivers bring their motorhomes. We park them here. Another lot on the hill is where the Cub drivers bring their motorhomes. There, they stay with their families. Races, ESPN carries our nationwide race and Fox carries our Cup race. In the fall, ESPN carries it all, either on ESPN or ABC. So we thought a few years ago, okay, we have to have this much space for the TV for both networks when they come in the spring, but we can cut that down to half when ESPN comes in the fall because it's just them. And their response was, well, no, that just means we can bring twice as much stuff.